Now let's solve the two-sum problem on LeetCode. In this problem, we're given an array of integers nums and an integer target. We need to return indices of the two numbers such that they add up to target. You may assume that each input would have exactly one solution, and you may not use the same element twice. So for example, here we have input nums is equal to 2, 7, 11, and 15, and given target equals to 9, we're going to return as our output 0 and 1, because those are the positions of the two values that, when added up, will return our target number, which is 9. Now we can solve this in two different ways, or two different approaches. The first one would require us to use two nested for loops, and obviously that's not going to be the most optimal solution, and the time complexity would be too high, or a little too high. So instead, we're going to solve it through a hash map. So let's see what that looks like now. So first and foremost, we're going to create a hash map that stores integer as its key and integer as its value. We can call it hm equals new hash map. So what we're going to do is our key value is going to be the number which we're currently on, for example 2, and its value is going to be the position that it's in. So for example, the value 2 is in position 0. So our map is storing as a key the value and the position that it's in. Now what we're going to do is we're going to iterate through our nums array. So for int I equals to 0, long as I is less than nums dot length I plus plus. So just to reiterate, we have a hash map called hm, which stores the values of the numbers that we're currently on in our nums array and the positions in which they exist. We're going to keep storing values and the positions in which they exist in our hash map. But before we actually do that, we're going to create an int complement, which is equal to target minus nums at I, or nums or the number that we're currently on, because we need to see what number we need to add to the number that we're currently on in order to get target. And if this value already exists in our map, then all we need to do is retrieve its value, or the position in which it exists, and we need to return the index which we're currently on, store these two values in a new array, and return that array. So let's go ahead and do that now. So int complement is equal to target minus nums at I, and then if hm dot contains key, which is complement, then return new int. So return a new array of integer, which is hm dot get the value at our key complement and the index which we're currently on. If while we're iterating this complement doesn't exist, then we're going to put in our map the value which we're currently on and its position. So for example, in the first iteration, since it's empty, hm.contains key won't be found because it's empty, so we're going to put the numbers that we're on and the position that's in, and we're going to keep doing this until we find our complement in the map. And we're ensured, in the given, it's ensured that it has one solution, so we're not going to run into a case where we need to return an empty array. However, let's just do that anyway. So in case there are no solutions, then we're just going to return new int that's empty. So let's submit our code and see if it works. So that was the two-sum problem on LeetCode. I hope you found that video helpful, and thanks for watching.